Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. We are so excited to be with you today. And I am super excited because we have a special guest who I met at an alcohol-free retreat with Zero Proof Experiences in Tampa. We sat together at the super fun dinner, and I was just fascinated by the work that she does. So we have Cybele Botran with us today to talk about her alcohol freedom journey and the work she does around this book called Mother Hunger and Reparenting. And I'm really excited to learn more about that. So Cybele, can you just introduce yourself and provide a little bit of a background about your alcohol-free journey?
Absolutely. Hi, welcome.
Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Susan and Ruby. So my name is Cybele. I live in Miami, Florida. Coming up on 13 years alcohol free. And I was a full-time stay-at-home homeschooling mom when I got sober. And, like many people, I was using alcohol to kind of numb out the feelings of perfectionism, hyper busyness, and it was a great coping mechanism at the time until it wasn't anymore. Very socially acceptable to drink wine at the end of the day. But I decided to kind of take my life back into my own hands at 47 years old, and I stopped drinking altogether. And that was the beginning of my inner healing journey. I had no idea. Kind of the way I like to look at it is I'm on a parallel track in my life. So my life on the outside looks really similar to when I drank, but on the inside, everything's changed.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I feel like the same thing. And you know what? I just realized I didn't read your bio at the beginning. So let me do that now. So Cybele is an International Coaching Federation professional certified coach, and she recovers coach and a mother hunger trained facilitator, and holds a master's degree in education with over 40 years of teaching experience. So you're a coach now, which is amazing. I love that we give back. And you coach self-identified women and non-binary people who identify with women's communities. And you run workshops and courses on mother hunger, inner child work, and reparenting. So that is what I'm excited to learn more about, is this mother hunger, inner child work, and reparenting. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with the mother hunger. Mother hunger is a term coined by Kelly McDaniel, who is a counselor. She a licensed professional counselor, therapist, and she wrote initially about her first book was called Ready to Heal. And in that book, she was writing about eating disorders and kind of love addiction stuff. And she came, in one of her chapters, she mentioned something called mother hunger, which was her way of basically talking about a primary attachment wound with your primary caregiver, who's often your mother. And it was just one sentence, but it resonated so much and she got so much clientele from it. She decided to write a whole book, which was published in 2021. And so it's, very recent. And I learned about her actually through a Mental Health Monday kind of live Zoom class, you could call it, given by She Recovers. And also she's on their podcast. So I became very interested in mother hunger and started to join her workshops and whatnot. At the same time, I had already become a She Recovers coach, and Kelly offered a kind of put out an application to anyone who wanted to become a mother hunger trained facilitator, and I applied and was accepted. And there were about 23 of us in that program, and it took about a full year to complete. We did live classes with her, which basically just means that I can teach psychoeducational kind of courses on mother hunger. So what's mother hunger? Mother hunger is, like I said before, a primary attachment wound. And she kind of describes mothering as falling under three pillars. And that would be nurture, protection, and guidance. So nurturance, protection, and guidance. And the idea behind mother hunger isn't about blaming moms at all. It can be very difficult for people to even identify mother hunger, and that term either resonates or it doesn't. But the idea is not to really be, in a place of blaming, but just looking at what was absent, and what was missing. So it could be nurturing that was missing for many different reasons. This could be from systemic racism. It could be from poverty. It could be that your mom was in an abusive relationship. It could be that you moved a lot. It could be so many siblings in the home, many reasons there was a lack of nurturance. The second one is protection. So you can think of anything, like how animals protect their babies if there was a lack of protection for any reason. And then finally, guidance. Guidance comes kind of in the tween teen years, and that would be looking up to your mom as a role model. So for whatever reason that was missing, you would also be experiencing some mother hunger, and it's kind of looked at in different degrees, like on a spectrum. So you could have a little bit of mother hunger, or you could have what Kelly talks about as third degree. So just like a third degree burn, third degree mother hunger, which is also called disorganized attachment, if you're familiar with attachment theory.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean, so in my experience, my mom had polio. So as a parent with a baby, she couldn't carry me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like how we carry our babies around. So like I couldn't be held maybe as much. I mean,
Mhm.
this is what I was thinking. And I love that not blaming,
Mhm.
because it's so hard, to go there. I can't blame her for that. You know what I mean? But I wonder, because I think sometimes when I do my own work, I don't have language for it. So I think the wound came as an infant where I don't have any language for it. But then I also think about maybe how I did this to my daughter, and where she might have, just when I was
Yeah.
thinking about this, where I might have wounded her through nurturing. I know she has issues with feeling abandoned because my stepdaughters came to live with us and felt like she lost part of her mom. You know what I mean? Like, so this is just fascinating to me.
It's very fascinating. And what's also coming up for me is because a lot of our one-on-one clients or our clients have alcohol addiction, and maybe they're not providing the guidance as well as they could with this teen and tween age that you're talking about. If we're checking out as mothers by drinking, coping with our own stress. Yeah, this is very powerful work. I'm so excited to learn more about it. Thank you, Cybele.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will add that, it doesn't mean that we can't feel angry. There's, part of healing from mother hunger is feeling that anger of what wasn't, and also, expressing it in a healthy way, and also feeling the grief. So doing grief work is definitely a part of it. And what Kelly McDaniel talks about is the celestial mother, like creating your ideal mother. What I refer to, the term I use is reparenting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what does that look like? What are some of the things you do in that when you
Yeah.
learn about it?
So you could say like mother hunger's the problem and reparenting's the solution. So reparenting is becoming your own inner loving parent and taking care of your unmet needs as an adult. So the idea, it's kind of similar to parts work by Richard
Mhm.
Schwartz, Internal Family Systems. So the idea is that you have like an inner child, an inner teen, maybe you have several parts. And most of us are very familiar with our inner critic, who tends to be very loud. And that's definitely where, alcohol can come in, is that we are trying to actually quiet that inner critic and self soothe with the alcohol, or it could be food, or it could be relationships. And the idea in reparenting is that you're everybody has the capacity to be compassionate. If you think about like a small animal or a young child, that natural ability to love that little person or that little fur baby, we all have that capacity. So the idea in reparenting is that we're growing that capacity to be compassionate and loving, but we're directing that energy towards ourselves. So we're inner child. We're seeing ourselves as the inner teen who does need that love and protection and guidance.
That's so beautiful. It sounds a little bit like what we do with our rain meditation work, Ruby and I.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we met. Ruby and I, as rain partners, we both took a course with Tara Brock and then went, wait a minute, aren't you with this Naked Mind coach? And then we got together and we, for 2 years, did rain together weekly. But yeah, and the self-compassion part of our alcohol-free journey, which is so key, right? But that's something I really struggled with, and many of our clients struggle with, showing themselves compassion when,
Mm-hmm.
in their journey. What do you think, Ruby?
Yeah, I was just, as you were speaking, Cybele, I was writing down notes around this reparenting. And I think that is accessible to everyone, and self-compassion can be learned. And that is what I do also is say, picture, how would you say that to a younger child or someone you loved or an animal, or maybe it's a child or a grandchild. And then they can actually tap into that language. They would say, "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry that happened to you," or whatever. And then I say, "Okay, how could you say that to yourself?" And you can start to say to yourself, "Oh, sweetie, oh, dear one, oh, lovely." And just the kindest, sweetest words, like giving yourself a hug.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's
So I,
exactly it. And I absolutely
hmm
love Rain and I love Tara Brock. And I've also gone to
hmm
her events. So I love that the two of you met that way through this Naked Mind and through Tara Brock and
yeah.
Rain. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a big part of my life. And the nurture piece is the N of rain is nurture. And that is the most powerful part of the process, is just finding either it's she says something like, is it a wise guide? Or sometimes I go to my future self, or you can go back and give your younger child self a hug. So there's all the different ways you can access this. It's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes time, right? It's a practice. It doesn't happen overnight.
Hmm.
It takes time. Sometimes we have to do deep self-forgiveness work for, the shame or the kind of the feelings that we're carrying from our past behaviors. And we need to, do the practice of nurturing ourselves, and then over time we do begin to feel more compassion for our younger selves.
What is this? I love the celestial mother, just that image of
Hmm.
creating that for yourself. How would you go about doing that?
Well, that
Is that something you feel
yeah,
like
I
you could
mean that's
share?
definitely Kelly McDaniel's term, celestial mother, and she talks about it in her book, which is probably right behind me or something. Anyway, she Mother Hunger, if you want to look it up, and it's just the idea of creating the ideal mother. I mean, an exercise that your listeners could do is write down the kind of the people who were your role models as you were growing up and what qualities did they have. So a lot of times I'll talk about in my reparenting courses like the trustworthy adult, somebody who you can count on. And you usually gravitate towards things that were missing in your own life. So maybe that's consistency, maybe that's calmness. Oh, and another thing I want to say before I go on, just because like Susan, you brought up your own daughter. Mother hunger work is not about blaming yourself either. So it's really easy. And this is one of the first things that Kelly McDaniel says in her book. It's really easy for us to read mother hunger. And if we ourselves are parents, is to use the information against ourselves. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I did that. And so she really, recommends that you read the book or listen to the audio because it's great. It's Kelly McDaniel's one reading it, so it's really soothing. But really listen to it or read it as a daughter and not as a mother.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's good. That's good.
Hmm.
Okay. Because I'm already feeling, I can tell you, I'm already going, oh, yeah, thank you so much for that. That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, so the exercise would be to come up with all the qualities in like that ideal mother, or the role models that you gravitated to receive the things that you needed if you didn't get it from your mother, or maybe you even gravitated to
Mm-hmm.
alcohol as a teen
Mhm.
to receive the nurturing or soothing or acceptance, if like by drinking with your social group made you accepted or fun, or you know what I mean, like I can just
Absolutely.
totally
Yeah.
see
I mean,
see that.
Mhm.
that's part of my story is alcohol was like love in a bottle. It was like a way to connect with people, to feel at ease with other
Mhm.
people. And I learned how to drink and become a party girl in high school. And so, yeah, so back to that exercise, you could just make a list of either fictional characters or real people that you know, maybe an aunt or a neighbor or anybody who you, or the qualities even of your own mother that you do, that you did enjoy or you know, did benefit from. So you're just making up this list, and then that's how you become your own inner loving parent, or as Kelly McDaniel says, your celestial mother. And, you know, that can really go onto a spiritual
Mhm.
plane too, as you think about celestial.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I took it.
Mm.
That was cool. So there's so many, so there's the 3 levels, right? There's what was it? It was nurture,
Nurture.
protection, and guidance.
Mhm.
And you said that there was, this is where I had a question, that there was like people that have a little bit of mother hunger or a lot
Mhm.
of mother hunger. So I kind of was seeing this as like a
Mhm.
spectrum, and that people probably are on the spectrum somewhere, and could, most people could probably do a little bit of work in this area. I think it's really relates to many, many, many people out there, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
research or scientists say that about 50% of the population is securely attached to their primary caregivers, and the other 50% are not. Kelly McDaniels thinks the number's
Okay.
higher. More people
Mhm.
are insecurely attached. And there's also, of course, father hunger. She doesn't write about father hunger. That's not her population. She's always saying, I hope somebody
Mhm.
writes the book on father hunger. But, you know, you can think of just how important the primary caregiver is to the development, the brain development, the socio emotional development of a child. And so, yeah, that's the idea. I mean, the hopeful part of all of this is that we can rewire our brains, as you both know, if you are both coaches in this area. We can rewire our brains, and we can really kind of shift and change how we interact with ourselves.
That's beautiful. Yes, I love bringing up the hope, and absolutely, we do believe in rewiring the brain. And also, so when we coach clients, a lot of times we're saying, when you want to drink, what do you really
Mhm.
need? But then having the tools to be able to provide what you really need to yourself, which is what the tools that you would learn in this mother hunger, if you use alcohol for things like connection, or I love that you said love in a bottle. That is, I'm sure so many people can relate to that, you know. And but then you need the tools to be able to provide that for yourself, so they're not looking for that outside substance to provide that for you. And that's what, you know, real empowerment is. But
Mhm.
that's most of the coaching and most of the work that we do when we're trying to quit drinking, because we need to replace whatever we were using the alcohol for, whatever jobs we gave alcohol, with something else to meet that need, because it was filling a need. When it becomes an addictive substance to us, it's usually because it was filling a need more than just let's have a couple drinks when we go out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we can think about the nervous
yeah.
system. If a mother is dysregulated because she has mother hunger, um, and a child becomes dysregulated. So, you know, really, alcohol is a way to self regulate, right? So, we're looking at a way to self soothe. So, the
Mhm.
whole idea around work in sobriety that we do, or in recovery, and the work we can do around reparenting and mother hunger is how do we self soothe in ways that are healthy and nurturing to us.
Yeah, yeah, those things are really important. I use havening. a lot with clients. They really like
That
it.
is exactly
Haven.
what Kelly
Havening
talks
is
about
a
is havening. She
Self-hug.
actually just did a workshop on havening. I love that
Oh,
you brought that up. Yep.
yeah, my clients are
Mhm.
loving it. So I'm so glad I have that as a resource. I actually learned about it through, I just got
Oh.
certified with Jolene Park through her
Mhm.
gray area drinking course. And she's all about
Mhm.
regulating the nervous system through food, through, things
Mhm.
like havening,
Mhm.
walking through nature. So having those resources for my clients has been
Oh,
great.
I love all these connections.
I know.
yeah. I gravitate more towards meditation, breath work. I've done a lot of breath courses and meditation, as well as yoga, getting into your body, and then
Mm.
compassion, which there's so many wise teachers around compassion.
Mhm.
There's Kristen Neff, and we already mentioned Tara Brock, but just all these wonderful, wise people we learn from. I just love learning. And now I'm learning from you, Cybele.
I know. I'm excited to read this book. Really, I think this is something that I would like to get more into. And I know that you have some workshops. I might even take one of your workshops. You have some coming up.
Parenting class. It's just an hour-long class called 3 Easy Ways to Reparent Yourself about once a month. So you can find that on my website. I also offer a 90-minute class called Inner Child Work for Beginners. And I offer that about once a month. And those both come with materials and recording. And then I have a reparenting class that's starting in September 2024, depending on when you're listening to this. And you could certainly join it at any time during the year. It'll be 10 months total, so September to June, and it'll be once a month. And I've had quite a lot of interest in it, so I might open up a second day. So maybe on a weekend. Right now, it's on a
Okay.
Tuesday, but that class is an hour and a half long, and it's just a reparent. It's a class on reparenting. So we'll be talking about boundaries. We'll be talking about self-soothing, a lot of the topics we just discussed. I also
Okay.
teach my Mother Hunger course about 4 times a year. I offer it on Saturdays. It's an hour and a half for 3 weeks in a row. And we go over, you don't have to have read the book, but it's a psychoeducational class. So I go over all the terms of mother hunger, and there's some exercises and journaling that happens in there. And then my kind of biggest offer is called Reparent, which is actually an acronym, and that's a group coaching experience. And it's small group. It is 10 weeks long. I'll be offering it in the fall, and all the information can be found on my website.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
What's
we
your
will put all
website?
that.
it's my
Yeah,
name.
we'll put
It's
that
my
in the
name,
show notes.
CyBeleBotran.com.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure and put a link in the show notes for sure to all that. And I'm going to join one of those. I'm going to look at them all.
Me
Figure
too.
out which
I'm
one
going
I
to
want
join
to
one
do.
too. Maybe we'll do it the same time, Susan. We'll see. But yeah, I
Yeah.
really am interested in this. This will really also help our clients. If we have a better understanding of this, I do see this as coming up all the time. Mother daughter things come up so often. It's
Mhm.
just very often, I've noticed. So
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
cool.
So how has this
Oh,
changed your life,
what a good
Isabel, like doing
question.
this work?
You know, I love the link between sobriety and then mother hunger and reparenting, because mother hunger says that we're going to be, as toddlers, looking for to get our needs met. And so that might be toddling out and looking for food in the kitchen cupboard, and then as a teenager looking for alcohol through relationships. And so it really ties all together: getting sober, not using alcohol anymore, and then kind of now what, right? And
Now
what do
what?
I do now? I can't live kind of raw. I need to figure this out. And so how it's changed my life has been very profound. One thing I didn't really talk about, but I'll just talk about briefly, is discovering my inner child. And that happened to me. It wasn't something that I cognitively, mentally went out and sought. I was at a She Recovers retreat in Canada with Taryn Strong, who's an amazing trauma-informed yoga instructor. And this was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And my inner child was around 9 or 10 years old. Her energy, not like a vision, but her energy was suddenly on my yoga mat. And I was like, what? What's going on? I could just sense her there. And she was very angry. And so this was right around the time of Me Too, Me Too movement was, coming around again. And the TV show Stranger Things was out, and there was the character 11 was very angry. There was a lot of things that kind of tied into it, but I really tapped into the needs of the 9-year-old me, and that opened a door for me. That got me very curious, and I began to do inner child work, and then I discovered my inner teenager and began reparenting work, which then led to the mother hunger work. So it's absolutely been life-changing for me, and I feel like it's just enhanced my sobriety, because it's really helped me work on that emotional stuff. We take away the liquid, but then we've got all that other work to do. And so it's really helped me with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we talk about. That's how we feel lit, right? That it's this work that we do after we quit drinking, how we mature emotionally, and and then we feel so much better physically, obviously, because we're not putting poison in our body. And then that's the, I don't know, that's like the reward to me of alcohol free living, is this idea of that we are always growing, always learning, and always wanting to feel better in our bodies and in our minds. And that's what this work does, right? It's just, it's been like getting and becoming alcohol free has just been life changing for me too. It's because of this type of work and finding out about these kind of things, which of course, if you're just sitting around on the couch drinking every night, you're not doing, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
you got curious. So,
And just eliminating the alcohol is the tip of the iceberg. It's really about self-discovery and like you said, Susan and Cybele, just this learning and continuing to grow and continuing to practice whatever makes you feel better and feel good, whether it's havening or tapping or the meditation, yoga, all of these. It's what works for you. We're also different, but we also are similar. I love also the communities we form, and so cool. Yeah.
So this is the time of our podcast where we ask our guest what you do in your life, Cybele, to feel lit. What activities or hobbies bring you most joy and fulfillment and really help your
Yes, I
sobriety?
love this question. So my non-negotiables they're so important to me, are sleep, getting into nature. So I love walking. My favorite thing is putting on headphones, going out, listening to my favorite podcast or music, and get walking in nature. I love spontaneous solo dance parties. Like, you'll find me with my headphones on, just rocking out. I have a gratitude practice that I've been doing. I'm actually in 2 different gratitude groups email that I've been in for maybe 12 years. So, and
Wow. What does that look like? An
it's like
email
a Google
gratitude
group,
list.
and people participate as they want. So some people participate more, some people less, but it's just a daily practice. There are sometimes weeks where I go, a few weeks will go by, and there are some weeks where I'm writing 3 or 4 times a week. So just the idea of checking in and reading other people's gratitudes is again about changing the brain.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a neat thing to do, to keep you accountable to your gratitude practice. That's really awesome. All these things are amazing. Walking in nature, sleep, gratitude, so important. Yeah, it just makes our life better, right? And changes our brain to keep looking for the positive. That's so great. Oh my gosh.
The sun is always there behind the clouds. And that's where gratitude comes in for me as well. You can look at the clouds in the dark skies, but the sun is always right there, right on the other side
absolutely.
of
And these
that.
are all, of course, women who are also in recovery, who are in the gratitude group. So it's about that connection, community building, being seen, all those things that are good for us.
Yes. Yeah. Keeping it so. What I love about this is it's not like, people sometimes, clients are like, when am I going to get there? It's like, there's no there. Like, this is an ongoing journey. Not that you'd want, people are like, really? But it's good. It's a good ongoing journey, right? And that's, that we're always connecting. Connection is the opposite of addiction. We're always looking to continue our journey forward. which is so
Absolutely.
important, I think, because once you sit back and isolate,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
at
And if
risk. Yeah.
somebody's listening who's, either still drinking or trying to quit or, wherever you are at, if you're sober curious, wherever you're at, just know that it definitely gets better. It takes time, but it gets so much better. And it's so fun. It's so fun to be on this
So
side of it.
much.
I've had so much fun today talking to both of you.
I have had so much fun too, Sybelle.
Me
I feel like I
too.
have a
Me
new
too.
friend in the sober community, and I definitely want to look into your courses. I'm very interested in this topic. And you brought it forward so beautifully and explained it so
Thank you.
well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes, I'm so glad I connected with you. And that's what's so wonderful about things like the sober retreats and things where you can connect with other people on the similar journey and learn from each other. So I'm super
I know,
excited
that was so
that
much
we met.
fun. We
And
sat
it
next to
just
each
seems
other
like,
at that dinner and laughed and had a great time.
yeah, I
Love
know.
it.
It's so funny when I tell people there's nobody, when we've talked about this before in the podcast, but I've never met a sober person who's like, it's okay. It's like, no, we're all like, it's amazing, right?
Absolutely.
It is. It's lit.
I
That's
love
why we
it.
started this podcast. And it's
Yep.
that we talk
Feel
about the
it.
hard. Yeah. But we're not like just, toxic positivity. We know it's hard and we know it's a lot of work, but the hope is that it is
It's worth
amazing
it.
on the other side. And we
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
help people get there.
Oh, so good.
Well,
Mm.
thank you so much. We could just talk all day, I know, but we try to keep the podcast to about 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap up and just want to remind everyone that we are going to put everything that you want to know about Cybele and her work and Mother Hunger in the show notes. So be sure to go there, look for the links, and also join our Facebook group. The Feel Lit Podcast Facebook group will put information there, especially if Ruby and I join one of your classes. We'll also put the information there to see if anyone in our community wants to join as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank
And we'll
you.
see you
Take
next time.
care. Okay.
Thanks,
Take
Sybelle.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com.
And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.
See you next time.